Welcome back to The Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and X. We're live on also a number of radio stations across the country and also on DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. Would I say finally, President Kufuor heeded to that call for a reshuffle, and he's been very consistent that he assesses the performance of his ministers and appointees on a daily basis. This was the time when the call for him to sack Ken Ofori-Atta had reached its crescendo, but he indicated that there was no basis for him at that time, almost 2 years ago, to do that. Well, 10 months to election 2024, he has done a major reshuffle. Over the period, what we've seen is the replacement of ministers who had either gone out of office for one reason or the other. But as we speak, this reshuffle, the assessment has been whether or not it's going to have any significant impact, or whether these persons who have been reassigned or newly appointed would have any significant impact in their new portfolio in the development, especially in the development of this country. And also, if it is an electioneering strategy, how much of an impact will that have? That's a conversation I'll be having this morning with my guest. Just those are the persons you see there. Cabinet ministers aged over 60. Well, Dam Kukuboche, who we do know now, has been appointed to lead Dr. Mahmoud Bamia's campaign. Minister of Local Government, Decentralization and Road Development, he's gone. And then also we had Kwesi Amoakwata, Roads and Highways Minister, and Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, the Health Minister. There's been, and remember, all these persons in time past there have been instances where there's been calls for them to be sacked. You recall when that's the Honorable Minister for Health, was before a probe, and questions were asked about how the COVID-19 monies were expended and the answers that he gave. At that time, when he said he could not think well, and he was not very well settled in his mind to take certain decisions in the interest of the Republic, there was that question about whether or not he should still stay in office. This was almost 3 years ago. Well, that did not happen. It has happened now. Kwaku Agyeman-Manu is gone. Let's go to the next. For the Finance Ministry, Ken Ofori-Atta is now going to be replaced by Mohamed Amin Adam, whom we understand has already hit the ground running and studying what's happening at the Finance Ministry. Right time, how much of an impact will this sacking of Ken Ofori-Atta at this time have? Well, the next person. Kojo Oponkroma has been reassigned. Now going to be replaced in the Information Ministry by Fatima Abubakar, one of the deputies, or his deputies, while he was Minister for Information. And then we have Dr. Bernard Okoboy returns to the Health Ministry now as a substantive minister. Ambrose Derry has been replaced by Henry Quartey. You have Francis Asensubachi, who is now going to be replaced by Kojo Oponkroma. Asensubachi is heading for the Roads and Highways Ministry. And Frida Prempe, replaced by Lady Aseria Malasan, who's a second majority whip. Henry Quartey, now replaced by Titus Glover. Henry Quartey is going to the Interior Ministry. And these persons, as you see them, have been reassigned. And then the new faces, as we go on, you see them. That's Ophelia Mensah Hayford, and then also we have Dakwan Newman, who comes in as actually the youngest minister to occupy that Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry since its establishment. Nikwa Tetitos Glover, Greater Accra Regional Minister Designate. Daniel Machato, OT Regional Minister Designate, formerly with the Ghana Institute of Journalism. Vincent Ekwasefua comes through as for the Ministry of Local Government Designate, Deputy. Sylvester Tete, you see there as Deputy Minister Designate as well. Now, joining me in the studio, we have Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. He is the Tamale Central Member of Parliament and also a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. They've been doing quite some work over the last couple of weeks. He's with us in the studio. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
And I was saying it's been almost, 6 months the last time you were on this show. Yeah, welcome. Also, next to him is private legal practitioner, is the convener for the Kumi Preco Day demonstration, lawyer Martin Pebo. Good morning to you, Counsel. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Kansi. Good to hear.
Yes, indeed. One of the foremost human rights lawyers we have in this country. Also, next to him is another lawyer, the Honorable Appiah Kubi. He's a member of Parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency. He's a member of a number of committees in Parliament and the leader of the Ken Must Go movement.
You make my friend very happy this morning.
Except that now he's lost all his potency.
Yeah. He's lost his potency.
Yes.
He's still potent. He said he's still potent.
That's why.
As Martin will say.
He sacrificed his potency for his primaries. You see?
He sacrificed his potency for his primaries.
Yes. Survivor first. The first human instinct, survivor. You see now he's dancing around. He will not reveal the identity of the businessman, etc. He wanted to appease the party base. And so that's how he did to one.
Your opinion very well.
Yes, that's how you won the primaries. You're trying to make amends.
I'll find out whether the time for their wish being granted on Valentine's Day by the president makes any difference for them. Those people who are asking Ken Ofori-Atta to be sacked. Also joining us, past few weeks he's been absent, but also committed to other equally important duties outside of this studio. Professor Ransford Jampo is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Legon, written quite extensively about the number of things we are seeing in this democracy, which has to change. Professor Jampo, good morning. Welcome.
Morning. Thanks for having me here.
Great. I'll start off with you, Appiah Kubi, because you, together with your 98 colleagues, were you 98 for the first time you addressed the press?
96.
You were 96.
We're 86, but 10 of them in the background.
10 of them in the background. They didn't want to show their faces.
People who didn't want to show faces. But those who were prepared to show face, 86.
I see. And it's almost 2 years ago, correct, that you addressed that press conference?
Yes.
And you asked the president to sack Ken Ofori-Atta. At the time, you said his continued stay in office was detrimental to both the party and the country's fortunes. The president called you into a meeting, gave you promises and timelines that when he gets an IMF program, so on, he's going to be sacked. We had the IMF program in May last year. It's been 8 months on. On Valentine's Day, he gave you a gift of sacking Ken Ofori-Atta as you demanded. Is this going to make any difference at all? 10 months to this election.
Let me attempt to correct you on statements. First and foremost, we did not ask him to sack him, Mr. Ofori-Atta. We advised President at the time that it would be better to have another person steer the affairs of the ministry.
Well, that's tantamount to sacking.
Well, it could have been for him to also have resigned. So we are not doing something against the person, Mr. Ofori-Atta.
Okay.
Our request was for the finance ministry to have a new direction, a new leadership.
All right.
And President actually said that at that point in time, he thought that we needed to keep Ofori-Atta in the saddle until the program had finished. And indeed, he said at that time, he will give us his position. Indeed, he was not explicit in saying that at that time he will sack him or anything. He said, wait until he finishes and I'll respond. In fact, personally, I had issues with the wording of the response, that I will respond. Because I will respond was so ambiguous, didn't mean anything to me. And indeed, I was profusely arguing that let us be clear whether or not you will do or you will not do, rather than I'll respond. Responding could mean so many things. So at that point, we didn't have a response back on the criticism of his statement. Be it as it has been, 2 years or so down the line, the decision has come that he should give way to somebody else to take over the ministry. Well, somebody will say better late than never, but sometimes timeousness of an action also has its own dividend. And unfortunately for me, at the time, we expected some confidence into the financial sector of the economy, and also we thought that somebody else coming in at the time would have had the leverage of steering the financial sector better than probably now. But like we are saying, it's better late than never. And the impact that the new person will make depends on how quickly he adjusts himself, how quickly he learns the rudiments of that office, and how quickly he is able to apply himself to the situation. So it depends normally on the person coming and how he will adjust to the circumstances of this time. Mm-hmm. And again, the issues of this time being a little different from the issues at the time. Mm-hmm. So let us all pray that we have a positive impact in the financial sector and indeed the ministry. Meanwhile, he's been there for a little, as Minister of State, a little over 6 months or so.
Yes,
so
Mohammed
I presume that was a learning period. So he doesn't probably need another month or two to also start learning. So he will hit the ground running, and I expect that he brings his youthful exuberance into the office, and also his flexibility and understanding of the economics of the day to be able to probably do better. And indeed, the challenge is that all those ministers who are coming in, I expect them to demonstrate better application to the issues and better commitment to governance, and show also a higher rate of competence in the office and give us better dividends that their predecessors were giving. Anything beyond that would be a disappointment to the president, the government, and the country. So if their output is equal or less than those who were already in office, then we will say that we didn't achieve much with the change. So let the change be seen and felt in the economy, and probably give us better dividend than the previous.
But finding out if it will be a realistic expectation to have that this change would have any impact, significant impact on the economy 10 months to elections. But you say that the dividends or the impact, if this decision to replace Ken Ofori-Atta or sack him was taken almost 2 years ago when you made that call, it would have been more impactful, obviously, than now.
Obviously, that is our belief, that if the call had been responded to at the time, whoever was to come at the time would have had more time to manage the ministry even better than now. Again, the circumstances of the time are a little different from now, because at the time there was loss of confidence in the sector, financial sector. In fact, a change, and a positive change at that time would have made, they brought back investor confidence, for example, and maybe would have supported the call for direct flow of foreign direct investment into the economy. But we didn't have it at the time. And indeed, most of these things we have to address the constitution of the country. The constitution, instead of disbursing power from the center to the periphery, this particular constitution that we have appears to want to congregate power into a center. And that is the problem. So no matter how we all feel and think, whatever we aggregate as opinions will reach the center as advice. And as we have seen, per our constitution and per interpretations of the constitutional provisions through the case of Ghana Bar Association versus Attorney General, they said whatever all of us will say to the center will constitute only just an advice, and he's not bound by the advice. So we'll do what we can.
But you say it's better late than never. Others say it's too little, too late. Obviously, and you know that in politics and governance, timing
is of an essence. Yes, sure.
In taking certain decisions.
I think I have said that it would be better if it had been responded to at the time of the call. But when people say it's better late than never, I also agree that if it is done too late, we probably will expect too little, but that would be an addition anyway. So however you look at it, I think that the change has been overdue. The call for change came earlier. The change has now come, and I think that we want to pray that the change becomes so manifest and the impact is felt, and that Ghana becomes better off by the change rather than the change meaning nothing or meaning less.
I see. Let me play back your press conference. Take a look. This is what you did together with your colleagues almost 2 years ago.
Meanwhile, we want to serve notice, and notice is hereby served, that until such persons as aforementioned are made to resign or removed from office, we, members of the majority caucus here in Parliament, will not participate in any business of government by or for the president, by any other minister. We hope that those of us on the backbench and members of the majority caucus will abide by this prayer. We are saying that if our request is not responded to positively, we will not be present for the budget hearing, neither we will participate in the debate. Thank you very much.
That's Appiah Kubi, and interestingly, a number of the MPs who were behind you lost their primaries.
Are you attributing the losses to our intervention, or what are you?
No, I mean,
are you seeking to interpret the losses through? Well, we had a battle, all of us. We went with different strategies, and some of us, were able to sail through. Most of my colleagues, unfortunately, lost their primaries, but we live to fight again.
I see. But so if you get to hear, maybe in the coming days, that report that we're reading, which has not been disputed nor confirmed officially, that Ken Ofori-Atta is being considered to be appointed as senior presidential advisor on the economy. He's also going to serve as the president's special envoy on international investment and the capital markets. What would your reaction be?
Well, our prayer was for President to relieve him of his position as finance minister. We did not anticipate the possibility of a transfer into another position within the same sector. We did not anticipate. And as we speak now, I don't have any such information. But if it's the wish of the president to appoint him into another position within the industry, he has the power to so do, and I have no power to stop him from doing that. And I have no ill feelings towards the man of Uriata as a person. Probably president finds some competencies in him that could be necessary in another area within the same industry. Well, he has the mandate to...
Well, on the basis of principle, because you talk about investor confidence, and at the time you were asking for him to be sacked almost 2 years ago, it would have been sent good signals to the investor community, the investor market. He's still going to be associated with the capital market, the investor community as well. Does that not concern you on the basis of that principle that you stated earlier?
Why will that not concern me? But I have also spoken through the Constitution to give indication of the leverages of the parliamentarians, the members of the public, and the power of the president per our Constitution. I have spoken profusely about the power he wields as a president in this constitutional dispensation. So I'm saying that it is not a wish that will manifest in an appointment. It is the power that the president has that will manifest in whatever appointment he's made. And I'm saying that he has the prerogative to either appoint him to another position or otherwise. And indeed, it was also his prerogative to have kept him in the same office. And when he decided to keep him there, the best we could do was to proffer the advice to him. And if he decided to act against the advice we gave, we didn't have any constitutional power to do anything otherwise. So I would say that the president has power and authority and indeed a mandate to appoint any person to any position. If that is what he thinks will help his administration, who am I to say no?
Hey, you are somebody, please, no.
No. Power belongs to all of us.
Yeah, so we shouldn't be saying
the power that belongs to all of us has been aggregated within the Constitution onto a presidency. So, and as we have discussed this morning, the Constitution says that whatever you say or do in respect of the exercise of his mandate is advisory. And we have done that. So when the Supreme Court also interprets that provision to mean that he's not bound by your decision.
It's not exactly so. That's not what they said. No. What they did was that it was middle of the road. They said, yes, he may refuse, but he can't go outside the list. So they did. The Supreme Court took quite some steps.
Yes,
you may not. You see, what they said was that the media didn't report it well. And so lawyers, we have to read it. You see, we are talking about the Supreme Court nominees, right? So they say, look, you go with a list, 1, 2, 3. What they're saying is that, look, we can't insist that the president must go in that order, 1, 2, 3. He can probably go for 5.
Maybe.
Right? But can't go outside. So the Supreme Court did quite something. I think the media didn't report it well.
Maybe you're taking me out of context. But what I'm saying is that he is not bound by the decision as we prefer. And indeed, in the case of censure motion, even if it's carried, we will still come back to that constitutional article.
That the president
whether or not, the president may. This is what I'm saying. That the Constitution says that even if we had carried a censure motion up to the presidency, president says, yes, you have done that constitutionally, you have expended your mandate, but me in the position as president, I would advise.
I'm not bound by the outcome.
I'm not bound by the outcome.
Let me bring it. Must people? Yes.
Yeah, the point is that this is a democracy, right?
Yes.
So we are. You see, when we say democracy, this constitution cannot write everything. Okay, can't write everything. Very huge in a democracy is public opinion. If you have joined the minority in passing it, so we are advising.
That's not the position. I think let's establish a few things.
So the Constitution, as per that interpretation, says that, and the Constitution by the letter says the president may.
Let me land.
We wait when you have opportunity. You do it. But when I understand, but I'm not moderating. When the Constitution says the president may, all that we all understand is that It is either here or there.
Okay.
He may do it, he may not do it. Simple. And I'm saying that when we even carry the motion for censure, he may decide not to respond positively to our request. And he may also decide to respond as such. So, and this one is
But a little intervention there. Martin